Oops. Hello and welcome to this live stream. It's been a while since I did one, but just been busy. This one's just a general one I'm doing at the moment, so it's one that I need to do lately, which is about media storage. Basically, this video is going to help out for people who have issues maybe with hard drives that or other stuff that they may have trouble with some information. Say, for instance, if you have damaged hard drives, or for instance, for me, I've got a couple of hard drives for 2 machines for testing in later videos, but I've forgotten what's on them because I've had them so long. But also, I want to talk about the format and use some tools that may help you out if you have any issues, because there are a lot of ways of doing it. So yeah, so this is a bit of fiddle. So yeah, so what we have here is a few hard drives over this side, a few hard drives that I've had over the years. Some are new, some are old, and they're in different sizes and formats. And also I want to go over how to access them and also show you what any diagnostics that might occur. So I'll try and get this short as possible. I will do another video for cloning because I want to show that, and multi-booting is another one, installation OS, that's why I need some spare drives. So what we have here is hard drives, and I've got a few other things to show. So basically a hard drive it can be in 4 formats. It's either flash, which is like phones, SSDs, pen drives and everything else. I'll show you now, which basically means they have no moving parts at all, and the fastest. Mechanical, which is a general desktop or laptop drive, which uses mechanical parts. The other is, which is not used now, is magnetic media. So that's the type of media that is used magnetic to store information. And the final one is optical, which uses a laser to read a disc, which is like DVDs, CDs, and Blu-rays. So they're the different type of formats, and I'll go through each one. So I've got a majority of formats, but not anything new at the moment. So I don't have anything that's latest. No, later on, but this is just a basic thing. So what we have here is the first thing I want to do is the first format, which I know, and maybe a few others know, but maybe a few new ones don't know what they are. So I'll show you now. This is one of the type of formats everyone used in the past. These are called floppy disks. Well, this is a floppy disk is in 2 formats. There's an older one which is about 5 1/4, and it was actually floppy, and that's the term, floppy disk. So this is the next stage up. And basically, this is what you used to use to boot desktops up when they were at the start. So you would put this in, and it would boot up to basic DOS on Windows systems, and this is it. You didn't have anything else to store it. And this holds about 1.4 megabytes, not gigs, not terabytes. This is the way it's stored. Okay, at the time you had small OSs and maybe basic programs, so that's what it is. So machines at the time used to have floppy drives, which this is a floppy drive, which goes into the 3.5 bay, sorry, a couple of terms. And this would read this format. The older style would fit in the larger style, and it's like a big floppy and put it down. These were a little bit more durable than those ones and store more, but that's the general. This is a magnetic media, so inside here is a magnetic head which passes over a ferrite material inside here. This is this under this protective flap, so it's right so the magnetic fed. It's very slow at the time, but it's so slow now, and that's what you generally use. So this goes inside. You can do this. You can still buy floppy drives these days, which is USB, because maybe you may have old floppies maybe hanging around, or some people still use them for retro stuff. So yes, you can still get them, but yeah, and even I don't think not for the old floppy drives, but yes, but generally there's the 2 stages of the 2. So yeah, so they're the 2 first formats, and then after that, hard drives started to come in format, which are these. This is the mechanical drives, the first one. Now most of them were free, even the 5.5 also, they used to fit in the bay here also, and use a different interface on the back, various interfaces. And like I say, that's when they started using the mechanical, and they've been used ever since. There's 3 types of interface. I've only got 2 interfaces because the third one is mostly used in businesses and everything else, but yeah. So there's 3 interfaces, and they come in 2 sizes, and that's the general. I'll show those in a minute because it's a bit concentrated. The other one is then, so floppy drives are used to digital programs, but when 95 started to come out, the files were getting too big because basically the large on things up to 3.1, I remember rightly, he had about 5 or 6 floppies to put in to install the operating system, even the program. So then they came out with optical media, which is this is. So this is a CD, but then they came DVD, Blu-ray, and this held information which is pretty used still to these days. And you use a optical drive like this to read it, and they did that right. So that was a big thing at the time. So you could go up to 700 megabytes on a CD, 4.8 on a DVD, and Blu-ray can be up to 10 gigs. So that's the media at the time, and very handy with everyone having it. So yeah, so I went floppy that, and like I say, use that for installation. Now these days you can download ISOs or download the images to do it. So now these days, they do things that replace those with some flash drives. So I've got one here. This is a flash drive, so I've got a pen drive for the USB connector. Come in different sizes, and this is what everyone uses these days to store information. So that's quicker, faster access, and that's the general thing. The other access to a point you can buy, this is maybe in small devices like phones now, micro SDs, these little things. They're designed to store information for my phones and small devices, and you can even store operating systems like on the Pi and everything else. So that's a little thing. And to use that, you can either use a modern, this thing doesn't have it, but you can either just slot on the PC to access it, or you can use adapters which turn it to USB, or these things which convert it to a standard SD, and you can fit it in some drives, so you can access that. And it's used for photos, videos, and like I say, operating systems, some basic stuff. So you got that. And the latest things in move systems are M.2 and VME drives, which in modern boards, and there's next stage up to the SSD. But I don't have those drives, so I won't explain it. So basically that's the general format, and there's loads of other formats like tape drives with magnetic and anything else which is still used. But yeah, and like I say, they're not all indestructible. Like for instance, this can have something called rot, where the image is suddenly found. Mainly it's images that are burnt yourself. Also, if you scratch the top surface, that disk is damaged. You can't recover it, and that's it. And there's scratch and everything else. Floppy disks. This is the thing that people miss about with magnetic tools. The floppy drive, because it's magnetic, you couldn't use a magnetic tool because you could accidentally wipe the information off. Because that's how the thing wipes information to transfer data is magnetic. So a magnetic screwdriver could damage this. But these days it's not required, because in here is a magnetic hard drive. It's a very more powerful magnetic than magnetic screwdrivers, and this still has data stored on it. So it's a bit pointless these days. But yeah, hard drives are just mechanical failure, so the heads could fail, motors could fail, or the heads could get damaged, or the platter itself gets damaged. And flash drives is basically a chip fails, that's it. There's multiple ways of failures in the device. And tapes like get damaged and everything else, so there's loads of different ways, but generally they're all pretty reliable if you look after them, but other times you can cause problems. So that's the general thing about the format, and there's so many formats, but these are the general ones I know, and these are what I use at the moment. Don't use floppies much now, because I only use it on an old system if it needs it. CD still use it for some systems, but these days now I use flash drives to boot stuff, and I think they're still handy to have if needed. So, but yeah, anyway, so the main thing about this one is that the hard drives here. So you can see there's a lot of hard drives on the desk here. So let's see. So first of all, let's get the two formats. So that's a 3.25, so this goes inside the machine, and that's called a desktop one because it's a larger size and it's not really put into anything bulky basically. So you find these in everything with these things like PVRs, like over around here, skyboxes, like 3-bit boxes. So anything you want to record goes into here. Servers and everything else, general desktops, a lot of things to use it. So that's a very common drive. Also, yeah, so that's that. This is a 2.5, and this is a floppy drive. So this is what you find in laptops. So slight size difference. So that's the two type of drives you find daily. And this one here is a SSD. So this is a non-mechanical solids drive, and you can see it's the same size as a floppy. Now the reason why they don't do them in big sizes is because most of the time you use these to replace the drive inside laptop, because laptop ones are really slow, they break easy and different things, and it's a lot faster. And also it'd be too expensive to try and put it in this size. But also most modern cases you can put this in, or buy adapters which convert this into this to fit in, say, these type of machines here which don't have it. So at least it's genuine SSD. Ninja drive is about this big. They go onto the board itself. The M.2 is similar to the SATA speed, and the NVMe is using the PCI Express lane, which is a lot faster. So yeah, so they're the general things. So this is what they are. Like I say, I've got loads of drives here. Also, some of these are damaged anyway, so also at the same time I know some of these are damaged. I had to find which ones, and I've actually access them to show you what they look inside. I've got both formats so you can see. But anyways, and so the interfaces are SCSI. It's like a faster interface, use a specialized card. You normally find it in businesses and stuff, but not used these days, but older systems. And you can also use external stuff, but I don't know much about those myself, so I won't talk much about them. So I've got two formats. Let me find the. Here we go. So these two are 2 3.5s. And this is what the drives used to use. It's called a ID drive or PATA. So there's a big section here with pins which you fit a ribbon cable on, and the ribbon cable would allow you, it's basically chaining off the back of the system. So you have a Molex power, you have a connector for it, and then there's also another section here which is the jumpers. So basically in the old systems, so that's the PATA, and this is the SATA, so you have just a data and a power. Now, the two differences between the two is, I'll show you an example of this as well, because this is what we used to do in the past. So in machines before the SATA and everything else PATAs at the time, you would have something like this where you have, this is a ID as well, this is an ID, and let's say you want an extra storage, so I'll get another one of these IDs. So you have three things. Now, machines at the time before these came out, had only one ID controller, so you could only source out 2 hard drives. Later machines, like my Dell here, has 2 controllers, so you can put 2 hard drives and 2 optical drives, or 4 hard drives and whatever. So that's when these became popular. This one doesn't have any more because it's got SATA controller, but anyways, so yes. And the way you work it is that the master or the primary would always have the hard drives, and the secondary would have the opticals. But if you had only one connector, you would have to put it in the right order. So they used to have jumpers on them, so they have CS, which is cable select, master, and slave. That's 4 types. If you're putting 2 hard drives in, one has to be the master and one has to be the slave. Your master is the one that boots, and the slave is like extra storage. And the same thing also with the optical drive. If you put 2 optical drives in, the master's normally the one that the machine normally would look at first to boot the CD off before the second one, if you had to use a boot disk. But also, if you had only one hard drive on optical, you had to put this to slave, otherwise it would keep booting to this, and some machines don't like it. So yeah, that's the general. So if I just take one, so you set one for the master, one for the slave, and when the thing boots, you can see the order, and the machine will go from that to that. And you can put them at any end of the cable. If you select cable select on the ribbon cable, I'll show you later when I hook them up. There's 2 colours, and I can't remember which way it is. It's blue connector which goes straight onto the board, and I think it's the black one's your master and the grey's your slave. I can't remember. So look up for that. But basically, whatever one you put on there and you send to the cable select, the motherboard BIOS would detect which one's on what cable and automatically select. So you just have to worry about the jumpers, but most of the time, what I normally do, I just set the jumpers up so that way I know which is which. Also, if you try putting two masters on the same line, it won't boot. And same with two slave, it won't boot at all. So the general thing, so they had to be. That's the minimize about these. You have just connect to connect, and that's it. But the SATA, the machine doesn't bother. You just, oops, hold on. It doesn't bother. You just put the power. You put this on, and it's SATA port like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The machine go in order where it is, and that's it. You can put a lot more of these in the machine. So that's the difference between pattern and SATA. Let's get that out of the way. Let's put this out of the way for now, so we don't need these now. So that's the general gist of those two. Let's move some stuff out of the way so I can get more access. So that's that. So that's the general modem boards, and also you can get, so like I say, hard drive is internal or external. So internal basically into the machine. External, you can use different ways of putting external. Like this one here is a internal drive inside an external caddy, like a USB external port. So there's a hard drive in there. I'll show you that later on because I'll show you what you can do with drives. But anyways, so what this is generally is basically I should show you how what you can do with each drive, and this is made for people who maybe have hard drives laying around and they may have forgotten what's on it, and either it came out of the machine, you maybe scrapped and you thought about doing the drive one day, or it's just something that, or someone needs help. So this is the general thing. So it's a bit itchy at the moment. So that's just a general thing. So this will be a little bit later. So I've got two drives here already. So one's a Max Diamond Plus 9, 80 gig, and the other one's a Western Digital 40. These are already configured ready. You see in the brackets, but even if you took out the machine and left the brackets on, you can still just hook up the drive here and work on it. So that's what these two are for. So these are blanked ready, and you see these later on in the machines. Also, I'll be using this for other transferring stuff. So these are the drives I've got to sort out. So this is a SATA Western Digital 320 gig. There's a 250 version in here, which is always in there for testing. So that's a working drive. I know for fact I'm blank. I think this Maxwell one was a dodgy one at the time. I can't remember. This is an 8 version of the 40 I showed, which is a Western Digital Caviar, a bit bigger. And I think this came out of the 98 machine I had before in its slave, so it may have some data on it which I may not remember, but it's got data on it, so I can do information on there. This one is an actual Quantum, which is now owned was by Maxter, now it's by Seagate, and this is actually a 2 gig. And it has HP parts because it came out of HP machine. HP likes doing it, and the same with this, it came out of HP. They seem to put their own parts number and then firmware and everything else, but it's not used in any machine. But this is a very old one, this is. I think this one could be on its own last legs. I know this one's actually has 100% damage because it was in my 98 machine. I did a test maybe on a previous video when I was cleaning it, and it would click in and fading. So this is basically dead completely. So those ones I need to look at. I know for a fact these two hard drives are actually dead because they came out dead laptops. But one is running still, but it's very slow, and the other one everything is dead. So the reason I have these is because I want to show you what to look out for when you start a machine up, because I can still put these in a machine and boot them, and you can see what to look out for when you know if the drive's failing. That's what I've got these. Solid state is here also because it's got, there's no way I want to go show on the software because this has two OSs on, so there's a way to access them if you have issues. That's what that is for. So yeah, so that's a general thing, but like I say, these other two drives are ready. These are got some that's blank, information damage, but show you it because I want to show how you can access these. Some of them are still working, some of them are dead completely. So let's see. So the way you can access these is two ways. You can either, if you have an old system or a secondary system, then you can use it like this. You can just hook it in and boot up a disk. This is what we're better because it's faster response rate. Also, you're not tying up another system because some software requires to boot up into it and then run. If you use it on your main system, you're pretty stuck. So yeah, and you can make external and internal into it as well, so it's good. And ideally, you want to get one that has both an ID controller and a SAT controller, which this has, because that way you can access any type of drives. And if you have an old ID or old SATA, you can buy adapters which can convert them. One part, you plug the power into it, and then you can put it in one way for SAT, one way for ID, so you need that. But it's only one way, but the system has both, so I can access all these drives in this one system. And also, this is a test system, like I see, you can see loads of videos many times what I do different things, so I'm not bothered about it, nothing data-wise on it. The other option is using external caddies. So these are like little things you can buy. You plug the connectors in, and you plug it into a USB port on another system and read it like that. So that's if you're limited, so yeah. Or say if you had a laptop, so yeah. So that's what these are. So that's that. This is actually a external. You can buy these external drives. They say external caddy for 100 gigs. So all it is just one of these inside here, or for the little portable ones, just one of these in there. So if this did go a bit wrong, or you aren't going to use it anymore, you can take the drive out and use it for something else, or you can really switch sizes if you wanted to. It's just a controller with the power and USB. That's it. I'll show you that when I access this drive. So anyways, that's that done. And the caddy is one of these. This is a little caddy unit here. We can put a drive dock toaster with this, and basically it's got two slots here. This is a two slot because it's got both access. You can also get 1, 2 general. And what this is, it's a little drive. You put the drives in here, and then there's a power and a USB. This is a USB 3, but you can get 2. USB 3 work on a USB 2 and vice versa. And this one has 2 on it because there's one here for the SATA, so you just dock it in, and this takes both the laptop and desktop because the interfaces normally stay at the same place. The other is for me to press in ID controllers, and on the back there is a ID controller and power, so I can access both type of drives. And normally it comes with the kit. Is one this cable, which is the power for it. One goes in the back of that, and that goes into the hard drive. ID cable for it, and this one is for very old laptops because before SATA there were 2 ID drives, and due to the size of laptops they supplied the power and the data in the same cable, so this basically converts the ID into small and this powers the drive up, so this can access the small drives. But also I can hook this into a machine here and read them internally as well, so it's like a conversion cable. And I think the compact flashes worked in those drives as well because they're on the same connector, so yeah. So that's what it's for. So that's the general way of accessing. And I'll show both ways as well, so you can figure out if you have a Windows system operating, you can use that to do some basic stuff. But also I'll show you on tool system I use on here, which is free and a bit more advanced, which not advanced so that people can easily read it, but to give them more access. So that's what I do also. So yeah. But generally, this isn't any external hard drive. And these are general things. So if one of these either fails or you're not going to use it anymore, or generally you can easily swap these drives out. They're normally either small ones are normally clipped together or glued. These ones have a screw in the back, and these are just generally easy things to get access to. Also, you can get hard drives that will devices you're not going to sell. For instance, skyboxes worth nothing, so they've got drives inside if you're allowed to do it, to get access to them. So this is the unit, and basically it slides out. This is a cover. And that's basically what it is. This is one of these drives and sitting in. This is a Seagate 500. That's it. That's what's in one of these. Like I say, I can take that out and put it in because this could go in if I really wanted to, or I could put bigger drives or smaller drives in it. But basically, it's a caddy. Or you can put this into an internal. And all it's just this controller here. So it's hooked into the back of the thing here, That's just as a power supply, and that's it. That converts it into a SATA port. And there's also an LED on here which powers and flies when it's communicating. Also, this is very handy also because you put this out so small as possible. You can even turn an internal SATA DVD drive into external. So if you have a machine that doesn't have any ports at all for it anymore, or laptops don't have it, you need a CD disk drive. You can buy portable drives that open and close, but if you have a spare one, you can use one of these to convert it with a spare hanging around. So multiple uses for these if it die. Even if the hard drive dies, this controller is still good because you can use it, like I say, on these drives because the ports are in the same position, even with the optical drives have the same port. So they're very useful since these rarely die. It's mainly this dies first. So that's basically what's inside one of these mechanical ports. And like I say, it's just a melt case to protect it, and sometimes they're useful cooling on stuff. But the brand is the brand. That is the Amiga. They're not around anymore. But like I say, it is the actual Seagate drive. Like I say, you can change those drives out if you decide to increase the size, decrease the size, or you want to use the controller and use the drive for something else if it died. So they're good units for what it is. But like I say, this is a good one if you're down with Docker and you're just in SAT controllers. You can use this to boot drives up. So this is the one way they deal with it. This was expensive at the time because that's some drives starting to come at 500 gigs, but now you can get them at 3 or 4 terabytes. Like I said, I could put a solid state drive I want to do. No, I just so that's what that is. So I'm going to show you how to access these drives. I'm using the system here. So first of all, I need to prep here. So I've got this one here on here. I also need to use this one. So see that. So that's the machine's just down here, so it's hooked up there. It's USB 2. And it's USB 3. Also on this, there's power buttons to turn them on and off. It's power at the moment, there's nothing cooked in, so it won't do anything. Blue is indicating it's power, and there's little red LEDs that flash when you've got drive communication. I'm not sure if you can run both drives at the same time, I'm not sure, but I'm going to put both in to show. So I'm going to just turn around to see what you can do here. So, see now, so what I'm going to do is put a SATA drive in, and I'm going to put one of these drives in here. No, this one still works, because it will build up with the old laptop I had, but it's on its own legs, and the other one just don't do it. So this is one way you can do it. So if you know the drive's failing, if you still access it, you can do this. So that just goes in there. That's the SATA. And let's see if I have an ID drive. So at the moment, I'm going to put one in. Actually, I want to show the blank one because that's one. Where's the blank one I had a spare? I'll do this one for now. I'll do the blank one later on through the other system. So this is the an ID controller. So what you have to do is set this for. Right, you have to set it for master on one of these. Even though it's booting in Windows, they won't do anything. I'll just don't remember to disconnect it before booting up. So set it to master. I think I have to take out the jumper here. So the jumper has this little thing here. It's very, very tiny. You lose that, you're a bit buggered, but you can still buy them still. So this money goes up in this. Anyway, in there. That's where that's for, just to hold it. You can get some which dock in, but these are very delicate pins. So I need the power supply for it, so one end goes into the back of the docker here. There's a hidden pin for that. Let's put it into there. That goes into there. This one goes into the drive. I'll do it that way. Oh, you can put many ways, so yeah. This way works better because it's got a cable length. And this is power to it, so one end goes into there. And then the other end goes into the power slot here. Now, the thing over this is the hard drives are pretty robust and easy, so you can drop them lightly or push them on the desk, for instance, they won't do anything. But if you dropped it from the table and this is concrete, it would do some damage to it, slight damage. This side of the you can throw it around where you want, you won't damage it unless you open it and break the board. So yeah, these things are more durable. But when you have a hard drive running, don't knock it because the heads they're in part mode at the moment, so they're away from the drive. But when you start them up, they move into the actual platter, and if you start buffing around a bit, it's when you can get damage or loss of data. That's why laptops I know fail more fast because they're so delicate, and the knock on it can cause it to fail. The desktop one's a bit more robust for the tower. But yeah, so that's the general thing of these two. So I'm going to show you that there. So what I'm going to do, switch this over to the desktop so it can be seen. Okay, this is my main desktop here, so you can see it. This is running Windows 10, which is the latest OS, so yeah, that's got everything there. Just checking a few things. So that's this, so what I'm going to do is first to boot up this one. Okay, we're spinning up. Oopsie daisy, I'll put the case back to front, the LED's over this end, and the little window here, I can see it flashing in the back here. Oops. I'll do that there when I've actually put the case backwards. I can see the LED flashing in the back here. It's supposed to be in the window here. Universal. I'll swap that around later, but yeah. So that's access that. So if I go into this computer here, so you can see there's one called backup. This is basically my backup drive. I've got online backup as well. This is my main one for general usage. So you've got this here, which is that I. So CDE is my main drives inside the machine. FG are my optical drives, and then H is a bug in Windows 10 when they did the update. They sort of showed that drive, so ignore that. But it goes to that next letter, I. And if I turn on the ID drive, hopefully. Yep, I can hear that. Yep. Indicates on this flashing red, so it's reading the drive. Okay, so this is local disk J. Okay, so it's unavailable if the location of this makes sure the device is connected. Now, this is a little issue I have with this Docker. Some of the Western digital drives and some other drives it cannot read for unknown reason in Windows 10. Don't ask me. It's something I've found with this thing. Some Dockers work, some don't, but I've found an issue with this. That's why it's not having any issues with it. And that's why it says malfunction. I've had this issue before with this, so I don't know what's causing that, but it seems to be something to do with these cheaper Dockers. You get, it will show up on the yeah, on the device set address fault, yeah, but It should have put up on the disk drive here because it says, oh no it doesn't. Crucial mode. It says this developed has a fault. Also good with the way the jumper's set on it. I can't remember how the jumper's set on this. Okay, so it looks like this. Yes, it's seen the docker, but it's not seen the hard drive. Yeah, it says here. That one's my function that died. The drive works, but I think I'll remember about that drive. That's why I haven't the second machine for that, because I know that's a drive issue, but it would read it on some operating systems, but it's the other one you can access, so I'll turn on the other one instead. This is the other SATA drive. Yep, so it's picked up the other drive, so it's this one. It says local disk J. This is that drive. Personally, the drive may look healthy in that, but I know for a fact this drive is dying because it takes forever to boot up on the system. And when I put another drive in the system, it booted quicker. So it's the actual system's dying. I think this drive worked on there. Yeah, it looks like this is some issues with that drive. So, yeah. Yeah, looks like this the system's not liking that other drive when you put the ID control in, so I'll leave that for now, because I will actually show you how to access these drives on another system, so I'm going to leave those for now. But normally it would work, but I can't remember what OS to use it on, can't remember, so that's the this drive and this drive both status, so you can see just for this drive here, so there's the two drives here shown on my desktop, so that's this one and the other one is this one down in. The few things you can do with this is if you open the disk management, because all the disk drives here, this maximum says Windows, so this is all my drives inactive, so where it goes in the order of the drive, so drive 0 is the first one, that's SATA 0. Next one, 1 is, and 2 and 3, that's it. That's the storage E, so this is the primary drive, sit Windows, I name it to each one, and then the next one is disk 3, which is backup I, that's the, that is the backup drive, which is this one, and disk 4, which is this one here. So you can see it adds 4, and the last two is CD1, CD2, which is CD drive, so it was put in order. With disk management, you can do some basic things. For instance, you can change letters. So for instance, if you boot the Windows up before you actually mix some letters up, you can rearrange it. Format, general format, you can either extend the volume or shrink the volume. So shrinking the volume is that you want to use more. Basically, a hard drive is, you can make up different sectors. So a sector is a drive. So one sector is like one drive. You add more sectors, you add more letters to it, and you can make multiple drives on a single desktop drive. So that's what they are. You find it mostly in manufacturers when you look at it. It's CDE, which is like the partition recovery and that, and it shows up here. C under disk 0 is the main Windows one. So C is Windows, you've got the E for health, and this one normally is hidden, this OEM partition, because that's normally the one that's recovery on Windows, but it needs to be a bug in this version of Windows 10 and it came out in April that this comes up if you didn't update. If you do a clean installation, that doesn't show up on the build. So that's what that is. But yeah, so these are what's here. And you've got a name, so NTFS, which is what they're using. NTFS, NTFS, NTFS. Unallocated means it's an empty space of the drive that you can add another partition or increase the other drive section for it. And this is just the map layout of everything and the drive space, and they say healthy, but I'll show you what. This doesn't give you full information. So for instance, there's this 4, I can do delete volume, that will wipe out the partition. When you delete a partition, that's it, the information's gone. You can do some tools to recover the partition, but if something overwrites it, that's you've lost it, and you would then have to send it off somewhere to get it recovered a bit more in depth. But yeah, so that's what the delete volume does. So you mustn't. So that's what I do. You want to completely blank a machine hard drive off, ready for installation of anything, which a few of these drives are ready for. So yeah, this is a basic one. So this is going to only do some basic general stuff. You can use more free utilities to get more advanced ones, like using different formats, different drives, and different partitions for different OSs. So yeah, so this is a good one for just general setup. So if you just burning the hard drive, you can put it in your machine, go to disk management, right click it, it will say unallocated. Actually, I'll show it now with the other oh no, I can't do that because it's a bit. I'll show you that in a minute when I swap the drive over, because I want to show you more information on this drive. So the general thing, so if you're rendering, if your drive was faulty, say for instance, if it was slowing down one time, or it was making odd noises, because you know we can start hearing odd drives, like unusual clicking, or it's taking ever to do something, there's ways to test it. If you can get to the Windows operating system, then there's a tool you can download. All tools I use are actually in the description. This one is, who's in the Windows here? Crystal Disk Info. This is the website's here, Crystal Well, if you type in Crystal Disk Info, it brings you up to the Disk Info. This is the main page. If I go to Crystal Disk Info, this gives you information about any hard drive you have on the system. You can boot it external or internal. So yeah, so you do that. And you want to download it, so you click on download, brings you to the download page. Just use the standard, the others are just different skins, and I normally do zip because it's portable, I carry it around, I don't need to install it on the program, so you can just download the zip and install it. I already installed that, which is in the download folder. So looking down here, so this Crystal, it's coming to the zip, so unzip it, it's here, and then run 64-bit, which is the 64-bit OS. (32-bit) if you have a 32-bit OS. So this is a beep there, so this is general default. I changed the theme to synthetic, so yeah, there you go. So good is this good health, so anything green is good healthy drive. So this is my crucial drive, this is a 250 gigabytes. Gives you the information, so this gives you the firmware. So if you want to, it's mainly ideal for flash drives, so you will need to see the latest firmware. This is here, serial number of the drive, interface, what speed it's running at. These are 6 gigs. Driver letters, well, like I said before, how many hours it's turned on, that type of rotation is SSD, and temperature and status. This is still healthy. And each drive is left in order. So this is one of my Western Digitals. This is my Black Edition. Doesn't give the rotation that. It seems to be an odd thing with the thing, but it gives you the firmware and that temperature. Next one's this is a Blue Edition. These drives are the same age, 500 gigs. It gives a rotation, which is 72 for a normal desktop and 54 for those laptops. You can get the faster the rotation, the quicker it's accessing. This is general. The buffer size also picks up. The higher the buffer, the more it caches. So I think the other one has about 64. This is the Western. This is the external one. This is the Amiga external host. It says here Amiga E external HD USB drive. That's ID on the chip, but it's basically a USB controller. This one here, as you can see, this is the firmware. So SD is Seagate's. This is a Seagate drive. As you can see, there's this buffer and that, and information on it. It says current mode 300 because that's what it is. It's a USB 2 controller into USB. So it's still working on the machines, but yeah. But it's actually, I think it's a USB 2 drive at the time there, so that's what it's calculating as. And this is the Fujitsu with this drive here, and as you can see, it's got a caution warning on. And it's reallocated sectors, current page. This gives you amber here, but basically this drive is on its way out. So this drive's fading. Caution means if you get caution, it's ideal to do as soon as possible. If you get a red critical warning, I can't remember, immediately get your information off the drive as soon as possible and stop using the drive straight away because it will fail at any time. Get your data backed up as soon as possible. So that's what it is. And this is a 52. It doesn't say here, but yeah. So that's basically in a caution state. And there's a 150. That's SAT 1. So yeah. So this drive's fading. And if fading drive, I wouldn't recommend using it for anything else because it would just go on its own. So that's that caution one there. So just go down there and eject the Amiga drive, and go down here also and eject the USB 3 to SATA. That's what that is. You always do this here to eject these. You don't turn them off. Wait for Windows. For instance, this says it's still right into this one, but this one's yeah. So the bridge is still waiting. So this one's safe to turn off. So this is telling me it's accessing the drive still. Okay. No, normally you wouldn't do this because you may lose data. But I'm not bothered about this drive. I'm just going to just turn it off. You should never do that unless you want to wreck it. I'm not bothered with this one because it's going to be a seized test drive. So that's that. I've got to switch that around later on, but see now. This one I know is dead. I'll show you now. Let's hook a few drives so we get some space here. I'll take the connectors off now. I'm going to swap that driver while I'm busy waiting. Move this around quickly so that it's in the right way again, otherwise I could forget. Yeah, it's good to do this one, but that's way around. Yeah. That's better, it sits in it. Now I better know if it's working again. So yeah, so that's my mistake, and can happen. Let's go to Docker, so it has a communication drive. Gotta say, these are good for controllers. If you don't have one of these, you can use one of these to do it if you need to. So put that away for safety. So that's that. So this is the other hard drive. Let's see if it's read it. Yeah, see, it's not showing up on there at all. And if we go to disk management, you see it's not appearing. Oh, just mix up it again. It's not appearing up here. So 0, 1, 2. There's no other hard drive here, see? Because this hard drive is completely dead on its own unit. And I've known that for a fact it came out of the laptop that had it. And if you run the different. It's not showing up. And the driver actually is hooked in and running, so I can feel it vibrating. So it turns out the driver is a bit knackered. I'll show you that later on when I hook it into an actual German machine to show you. So that's that one. I'll show you it's working because this is a solid state. See, it still fits. A bit thinner, but it's still fitting it. You can see the extra access it like the reading. This is also a Seagate 500. So let's have a look. As you can see, there's the drive. So this is part here, and this is in reverse. It's the same thing. It's at the bug. See, these shouldn't be shown. And this drive's also got the same trick on it, because this also has a dual boot on it, which is a Ubuntu on it. Because if you look at the disk management, you can see something interesting on the drive letters. So you can see it's got system reserve, healthy primary, but you can see also another 62 gig healthy primary. That this is actually a hidden software. This is part of the actual different OS, these two here. So that's why they're showing. But this can't access it because it's not a file table it recognises. Like I say, this will read the information off of it. And you see it says the temperature's good. It doesn't know the temperature because most of the time it's disabled, which doesn't require. And this is an Intel drive. The firmware there, set 3, it's actually set 6, I think. And like I say, that's that drive. So that's this one here. Yeah, when you get that message, you can see if you remove it. I'll flash drive unplug this to turn it off and remove it. So that's that. But like I say before, it can also. I'll show you with this one now. This is a blank drive. I'll show you what you can do with the actual Windows Media. Let's say you brought. Let's say this, like if you unbox the drive and it's brand new. You plug it in the machine goes and think, oh, I recognise it. Now you have to initialise it first to make it work. I'll show you in depth on this as well, other ways of doing it, but yeah. So, if you see at the moment it's not showing up here at all, but it's showing here. So it's actually there, but it's not seeing it. To initialise the disk, you have to go to disk management. It's in the admin area. And this is in it. See, initialize disk. You must initialize this before Logic Media can access. So saying disk 3 and starting GPT, which is the latest, or master boot record. And says the GPT partition style is not recognized by all previous version Windows, which is anything under 7. So this is good. You can initialize it now, but you can just do it yourself or click cancel and do it more advanced. So you can see now it's unknown. 98 allocated blank is unknown. So if you right click this, you go. So you need to load the disk. I'm going to do master boot. Bring up ready. So the drive's now ready, but still not accessible because it's completely blank. So you right click it. Do simple volume. Whatever size you want. Assign letter. Or you can just assign no drive there. You can go to it later on. You get query format. You can name it. You do a quick format, which is general, and this gives it a general thing, and a click finish. And there you go, that's now formatting, and that's now the drive's ready to be used. Now we'll go back into here now. Oops. We'll go back into the File Explorer. There you go, brand new drive to work. So that's how it's easy to fit a new drive in the Windows. As I said before, it's at the moment these drives are that's a to convert to MBR. So this is actually a GPT. The others are MBRs. So GPT is normally your primary drive, which Windows uses these days for different file access, and then other drives treated as a master boot, which is the old style, since they're not bootable drives. But the operating system does it for you. So that's that ready. So you use that drive as a standard drive. Like I say, you can use it in an external drive if it's not inside a machine. Now you can put in that caddy in and use it as a general drive. And the same thing, if I went back into the actual disk management, and if I wanted to remove it, if I click and delete it, it says delete the volume will erase all data. Back up. Do you want to concede? Yeah. Yeah, and it's blanked it off. So now it's raw data again, so it's no longer working. And since it's unallocated, I can now change it for either to GPT or direct, so I can change the drive once you've formatted it clean. But yeah, when I format it clean, see, it's no longer showing here again. So it's like a blank drive. So one-way trip if you do it wrong, it's warned you. Even so, the machine, the software can still read it. It says disk 3 Hitachi, what that is, and you can see it still can read a drive, even if it's white and brand new, it can still identify it as a fault. And you can see this is Hitachi, so yeah. So this is a good tool for to use, and this is ideal if you can access Windows to do general stuff. So very handy. And then I'll switch back to the. So I'm going to switch back to the camera for now, so I don't need this for now. That's it. Now this other method I'm going to show is how to do it if you have a second system that you want to use it for. This is a more ideal case because it gives you better access. Because it allows you to do a lot more things. Also, it doesn't tie up your main system, for instance. That's still in Windows, but sometimes you want to use it done off the disk. You have to boot into the software and then you lose your whatever you're working on. You can't gain access if you haven't got another system to look at. So it's always handy to have a spare one around. Work on laptops as well, but remember they're not as fast. So that's that little docker, but these are handy. Like I say, you can get the most down. So I'm going to show you how to do the general one through a general system like this. So what we're going to do here is hook up some hard drives. So I'm going to use various tools to gain access and do general stuff. So this is going to be ideal if you want to do this. So let's see now. I'm going to hook up this drive, and it's got data on. The other drives won't deal with them because I know that they're a bit risky and they could interfere with the system. I'll show you that later. So I'm going to put that in. It's an ID drive. I'm also going to put in the solid state drive to show you can do that. Doesn't matter the size of the drive. I'll do these ones later on because they are not working. So I'm going to put this one in, I'm going to put this one in. so I'm going to do that for the moment. So for this one, you set it to. For this, you don't need to worry about it because there's nothing booting on this drive. Because this machine's completely wiped clean. So I'm going to hook them up to the connectors here. So there's a port for the solid state in here. That connects up the same way as any other drive. Also, there's a hard drive already hooked up into this machine anyways, which is blank drive, just for testing purposes. Actually, I should turn this around for a better view. How rude of me. So this is a general task, so like I say, we've got, so that's the SD hooked into an Ethernet door. And this is what you use to hook up ID, so you can see there's a color codes here and the Molex cable. So this you can put anywhere in there, it's not going to harm you. And also, you can put hard drive anything out anywhere there or up, as long as you don't bump it, you're fine. So I'm going to hook this up to the machine here. So that goes into there. And like I say, any connector now is ideal because it's set for slave, so it can work in any. So go in there. So that's that drive. Like I say, I can hook up four. I've done that before, which was when I was testing stuff, but generally that's the general stuff. So that's all hooked up. And I'm just going to turn this around now so you can see the LED lights. I'm going to hook up the monitors and stuff to it. So I don't have any other cameras at the moment, so I can't zoom or anything else, but this is what I have. And this is my little test monitor. I've had this for years, and it's 4x3, but good for the system, just a test. It's only VGA, most stuff I have is VGA. And also it's got a jack for audio, for testing audio, so it's got a good range. And this system's a AMD Athlon 64-bit dual core, runs 4 gigs of RAM. It's a dual core 4200 plus, it's about 2.4 gigs each, 2.44 gigs each. Also got NVIDIA 7800 series, 120 megabytes, so that's a very old card. But this machine is pretty perfect for what I deal with. It's also 64-bit, so this machine, like I say, I can run any OS testing on it. He runs 10 and so you see that later on. So I can test different software on it, and I also do the software on both, on this system, virtual and here at the same time. So you have to install them both ways. Fair. It's a general thing to do, but I think that's a good idea. I use the machine for other things, and gives people the idea what I can do with other things at the same time. Like I said, I know most basic stuff, so I'll show you how to do some stuff if you wanted to, like here. But I'm just in the field yet. I've helped people in the past and general stuff, but that's about it. But I've got some knowledge, and I also, sorry, I'm just doing this. I also do build, so you might see that occasionally with builds or repairs or general stuff. So just passing knowledge that I know. So, and I'm still learning myself, so it's pretty good. So, I've got a standard keyboard here, standard mouse, could be any. So I'm still learning, I'm still doing general stuff, but you'll see stuff popping the channel for other stuff and non-PC related as well, if I feel like it. So what we're going to do here first is, so that's the system. So because there's nothing stored with towers and stuff, put that more forward that way. Can, hopefully. Okay, so if I just don't design it, won't do anything, just won't boot. To my knowledge. Yep, monitors there. Power's on the front here. a small screen, so I can't see much, but I'm just going to do this to see what I'm doing. Yeah, okay, so it's picked up the button. There's a tool and the two attaching sounds. So drive. Okay, right. It's going to boot up because that solid state drive I put in there has actually come from a laptop I've temporarily removed, so I don't want it booting up. So yeah, that's actually a grub menu for Linux and Windows dual boot. I'll show you on another channel. I'm going to show you another video on how to do that. But yeah, so you see it's all working. So what I need to do is access. I'm showing how to do access if it's completely blank. So what you need to do is get hold of a flash drive. This is a 2 GB one. Hook into a PC. That plug into the PC here. Switch back to the PC camera because we need that for the moment, and I'll go to something else. So the tool I use here is called Ultimate Boot CD. This is another free software, like I said, all linked up, and this is a very good utility because it has loads and loads of utilities for downloading, for doing diagnostics. So you can do memory check, you can do HDD, CPU, but basically this is all free software which you can get, and you could have something themselves and download it free, but this tool has it all built into one, so that way you don't have to hunt around for it like memtest and everything else on here. And it's always updated, so every single time when you want brings up, they also update this, so it's a very handy tool. And you can also add your own stuff, maybe tweak around it. And there's two versions. I've got download USB CD, which is this one, which is all the DOS type stuff, so that's fine. And the other one is USB CD Live Beta. This is a testing site which is more goes into the Linux system for live access, which I'll be using as well. So you go to each HTTP and download them. It's version 2.3p. It's also advisable to check the MD file afterwards, which is this here. You can go to a site here, which is also their online MD5. You basically drag your file here up to 4 gigs, which is fair enough. Most drives are not that big, and they bring up the check file. The reason I say this, you need to have it matching because sometimes either download fails, it may give you the incorrect one, or it could be a rogue one that's on tweet. So this gives you the rough idea, but it's up to you what to do. And it gives it it basically gives you all the tools that are on here and the versions. And the same with the standard UBC. See all the versions here. The reason why they keep people doing this live because there's a Part Magic which is here. Problem that is now it's not longer updated on this disk because they're behind a paywall. You have to pay for the OS, so they've been designing their own one. So it's got the same tools as Part Magic in here, which what I use. So it's fair enough. So that's why we're both here. So you just download them, and the two ISOs, and fit on a CD. They will. They both will fit on a CD, so if you have a machine that has no way of booting from a USB in an optical drive, you can do that. So when you download that and you created the check the MD5, you need to use the software to create a USB. So I've got a company like Rufus, which is something I've been using, and it's a tool that creates a bootable media from a flash drive. So it's any OSO. So you go to download, and it's latest date here, and there's two versions, portable and general. They both don't install themselves. The only difference is the Rufus 3.3 stores your settings inside the registry, so if you use it all the time on your machine, it will just remember it. The Rufus is in the folder. If you delete it, it doesn't remember it. That's the only difference. And it works on 7 or 1 words. Doesn't matter the address, so you can download. So I already downloaded them on here. There's a download folder. So there. With the crystal disk so I don't get confused it. So you can see the drives here. So this is the Rufus and these are to the ISO. So Rufus. You see all it happens is it just creates this N5 for this. If you delete this, it keeps asking again. But if you don't do the portable, it's where it's stored. So this is what it looks like. So here's the portable. So drive here. So you set the drive. If no drive you insert it, you can do your own twist. Boot selection, so you set the select here. This will bring us up, go to folder in it, so I want the line from first for the first testing. Open that. It's already set it to the right one, so that's fine, and it's already set the right configuration for that there, so that's fine. You can do advanced if you want to. Now, I have to do something a little more different with this machine, because this BIOS has a bit of a hitty fit. So click down to show advanced drive options. There's a button here that says add fix for old BIOS, so this will realign the actual thing. I have to do this because if I don't do this, the way this BIOS works on this machine, it will treat the USB drive as a floppy. It will try to boot it, but then it will just halt and won't do anything. So what this option does when you tick this, it realigns the drive and adds an extra drive. So Windows may moan. So when you plug it into this machine, it will come up as a hard drive, which is and boot correctly. So you don't have to do this on any machine, but if you find that you create the disk, you put it in and it doesn't do anything, or it's not doing correctly, and if it's downloaded correctly, it's to run the program again, add this little tick box, and do it. But even if you tick it, it won't harm any new machines, but it's just it'll still run even on a new machine. But just a couple of BIOSes have issues. So once you do that's it, and it does all that. There's nothing else you need to do. So you stick on start. Gives you this comes up if you're trying to because it uses the Linux system. It picks up that it's an old version. There's a new version. So you say yes. It will download that into the same folder as the portable. Ask you what type of mode, DD image or BIOS image. So leave it as image. Doesn't always do that with Windows stuff, but that's there. And the final one is all data will be wiped on that drive. So if you accidentally put flash drive in, you've got the information. You can click cancel, go in and find what you want. If not, you can click OK, and that's it. And it's going to start to. There it goes. Now it's starting to create the ISO for that thing, for that image. Like you burn a CD and put it in. So I found this one the most easiest one to work with. Like I say, you do any ISO that requires booting. So that's Windows, Ubuntu, well, any Linux system, any other OS that can boot. Dynastic disks, even some flash tool disks do it. There's loads of disks that can use this for. It's always a good general thing. So I find this a very good sort of thing. Okay, so that's now done. That's completely ready. So that's done. So look at the eject and eject the flash drive. Oops, I had to wait for a bit. Yep, so that's ready. So that's that flash drive ready. So I'll insert it into the machine. Boot up again, and with this you have to hit the F11 key to go into the there's no F keys here. This is F11 to boot into the boot option, so it's at the bottom down the screen. Okay, it didn't do that time, it does it sometimes. Let's hit the reset, and that would then reboot again. Okay, does it sometimes, some boards do that. They don't recognise the keystrokes. There you go. So it's under hard disk. Here's my hard disk. So that's the ID Western Digital, the IJC Intel, and on this flash drive here. There's the menu here. This says general, it's nice safe. Let's do this and boot up. Now, we'll go with this one with some ID drives. If you I made the error first time. I couldn't remember what the drive was set for one of these, and I accidentally put two masters. It actually halted it, so that's why we put the ID controller on the wrong way. That it will not bother. It's only one on it, so it reads it. Oops, you can't see there, so keypad. Don't need the desktop anymore, so I do that. I've been doing this a few times, so I'll show you a bit more than the long zoom. That was me clicking the right one option. Okay, so this will depend on how fast your system is. This is it runs on a very most of these tools run off of Linux because it's free tool, and you just simply add on what you need. So that's what this is running. Once change the resolution to the monitor, this is a good sign that it's actually boot the drivers. If you hold for any reason, it could be a driver issue, or like I say, you put ID drives in it and you put them at the same port, it's not going to work. I found it out. Okay. Just a sec so I can see it. I'm not going around the front of it. The camera's too low. Okay, so that's the main thing. So you've got a few programs here. This is kind of because I'm not hooked up to the internet, so it's asking for the time. So it's advisable to set it so that you know what you're doing. If you had it hooked up, it would automatically do it. 23/7. It's so do that to make sure it's right, so it doesn't bug up the system. So yeah, that's a boot up. So it's got browser and everything. If you plug into the internet, it's got its own browser and everything else. So that's it. So it's got the base here. So keyboard layout. You can change it if you want to. I would do that because it's on the USA. If it's not, I would do some odd things. I'll start typing. You don't have to do this, but it normally would pick up. Where is it in here? USA. Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. I may recognise the keyboard, but this one thinks it's a USA, and I think so. There we go, UK. Because the keys are different there, but that's it. Okay, okay. So this is the general sets terminal. This I just changed the monitor settings, file access, and Wi-Fi. If you had a Wi-Fi. So general thing down here is the boot menu. So shut down, reboot. Also gives you some other tools. Like for instance, in here I can do the few other tools. G-partition. Let's change the partition. I'll show you that. Rescue. Like for instance, you can do a test disk password recovery. I used it before because someone damaged the flash drive. He said, "Oh, do you want to format?" I said no, and then I used this, and it managed to recover the file structure. So it's handy. Erases disks if it wants to. CMOS clear. If you have any issue with the CMOS, if you can't get into the machine. Cloning and ClamOS and advice and general. So general. So it's got notepad. Just get type notepad and general stuff. So first thing is I want to show you how to access. Actually, first of all, I'm going to show you how to access stuff on the hard drive first. So I'm going to show you how to access hard drive if you think if the drive's still working and the operating system does crash and you manage to get it out and put it in another machine either externally or internally. This is how you do it. So I go into this option. Here's what's saying click. So click here. Brings up a management. So if I click on the little hard drive, it brings up the hard drive snapping. this is a Linux, so basically this is how they extract it. So SD represents your hard drive, and A, B, and so on. The numbers represent the drive. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Example. This is the main drive in here. It's got dash because it's empty, and it's going to be a warning here that it's only determined the drive because it's a raw drive. Say SDB. This is a 1 gig drive. I think that's the yeah. So they've got each represents drive of the storage space, so the general storage space. So this is the storage drive 75. This is it C. See, that's drive 1, drive 2, drive 3. This is the Western Digital 80 gig ID. So you see, it's read it, and this is the FAT32, so you can read the Windows drive. These two here are USB drives, so that's the USB flash drive used to boot, and this is the RAM which this thing runs. So this is actually the other drive. So there's 282 here. So this drive here is Windows 10. So you see, I can access a Windows 10 system even though it's not running. And the other one, this is a Linux system. So I can even access a Linux system with an issue. And all Linux systems run their stuff in the home, which is where your documents and stuff stored. So this can actually access any OS, even the machine's not working or working, it'll still read it. Yeah, so let's see, that's home. That's my name there. And general thing, same here. If I go into users, same, all general. So this is actually switch. Occasionally you may get a pop-up warning if you try and accessing it, even if you had if the operating system crashed and it didn't close down correctly, it will sometimes bring a warning saying about unable to mount the drive unable to route to the drive due to it not closing. And give you a command window, you can put space RO in and press mount, and what that does is it puts it into read-only mode. So you can put the drive into read-only mode, it means you can't write to the drive, but you can still read it and you can still pull stuff off it, so you can still do that. So you can do a bunch of stuff in here. You can also delete stuff and do weird things here. So, but anyways, yeah. So that's what we want to do here. So, for instance, if I wanted to access the storage drive here, or to pull something off here, I would need to hook another hard drive up to it to do that, because you can't put it here because this is the actual memory. You turn the system off, you lose it. So, and what you can do is you can hook up another hard drive to it. So, any flash drive, like I've got another spare flash drive here. I'm going to plug it into the other machine's port. And you can see now there's another drive here. It says E, this one here, 58 gigs, it's a 64 gig. So you click on there. Now it's going to be a warning here. It says it mount unknown file system type exFAT. Now Linux can't read any exFAT. That's something to do with Windows from 7 onwards. That if you have a 32 onwards drive, it wants you to format it in ext format, which seems to be better formatted than the NFT file. So Linux won't read it, but you can get it to read if you can. You can download an actual app to make it work. If you're installing Linux on its own, you can do that, and it then read that drive. But because this doesn't do that, it won't do it. So what I have to do is I have to format this with another format drive to work. You can even plug into Windows and do it, but I'll show you how to do it on here if you had that issue. When you format it, it will change the file format. This is fine, it's blank, so what I need to do is change the format. Okay, so if I go to root requires the highest manual to do this. I'm going to go to format, and then this gives you all the formats mode. So I want to format it to NFTFS. So it's a data loss warning. You're about to format a drive. The device SDA, which is this one here. And this is like the command box that you would type in. And like I'm saying, if the driver had difficulty reading, it tells you what the recommended drive is. So you just put a space here, like for instance, and it won't do it because it won't let me. It's beeping, but if there's other driver do that. So yeah, it says enter format command. It says data loss. If it did something wrong, you can edit or cancel if I do OK. It's going to give us here, so it says here, data loss warnings, and a command prompt, type yes and press enter to proceed, or no to cancel. So basically verifying you want to do that. So it's now formatting this drive now to NTFS. Yeah, it depends on the speed of it. This is on the USB on another USB. So it's USB 2 drive, so it won't take long to do. So that's one that's going on. This other drive here, we need to sort out this drive because it says here. So know what the drive is. So I don't know a way of doing that. So what I use is the G petition. Let's go to System, G petition. This is. I think there's another command you put here which is for a quick format. I think it's the longer format, which is going to take forever. That's why the G purchase is waiting for this one. Yeah, don't do this. This is going to cause a problem. You shouldn't do that because it could wreck the drive, but I'm not bothered, it's an empty drive. It showed up here again. The format looks like that. I'll just use the G system instead as these quicker access. Okay, so there goes an order. So it's the first device A 2P9 bytes. This is unallocated, so it needs to allocate its drive. So first of all, you need to create a new one. Oops. Right click it and then select no. Right click this one and then select I'll go into the actual menu dummy device, create new partition table. That's actually what it is, so you can click the bottom down and this is for different OSs, but it'll be an MS-DOS for more these fixtures used to do that. Okay, it's going to create a, so there you go, so that's ready now. And now click on new. You can adjust it to what you want, type of system, and the default is EX4, which is the Linux one, but you can drop this down. It's just to give you all the partitions. So we want the NTFS one, which is the Windows one. You can label it if you want. Click on Add, and this is on operations pending. So you can do other drives. You can do multiple drives you want. So I'm going to do the other side with this one here. So I'm going to delete it. Delete it. New. Change this to NTFS. Maximum size. Add. So that's it. Maximize it. So you see these are all the things and what it's going to do. So it's going to create a partition 1 on the device A. Delete the partitions on drive D and create a new one. So if I click on the apply here, so it's going to apply all edited partitions, cost data loss. You're advised to back up your data. So click apply, and it's going to do all the details here. So what it's going to do now is go for each one. And like I say, you can click on the arrows to extend it. So that's it. So that's all done. It's going to reload itself, and that's it. So device A now it says device A1 identifies as NTVS, and then we're going to drive to E. That's now NTVS. So ready for new information. If I click on the other drive D, this is LIC. This is the 2 gig flash drive. This is LIC, do you? FAT16 system color and unknown. That's the partition it makes to make it work. C is the FAT32 storage. So this one is the Western Digital one. See, FAT32. And drive B will bring up loads of them. See, so this is the Windows partition. This is the Windows partition. So if I try and click or border it, that's Windows partition extended. This one here, it says here ext4, so that's the Linux one, and then you have a Linux swap file on the end here. So this is Linux here, and this one's Windows. So they're all paired to each other. See. So you see, I can delete each one and move them around, and it also gives a percentage on what's being used in each partition. So, and then that is blank ready. So that's how you create partitions. Well, you can right click it and resize, delete, format to, so you can change the format. So yeah, so you can do a lot of things with this. So that's that one, the main 2 tools there. So now I've got to a new flash drive, so I can go into flash drive here. So like I say, if you have a spare drive, you can just dump it straight away. If not, you have to then put a flash drive in. So that's the empty flash drive. So if I open it up again, let's say for instance I wanted to move this folder. I'll just hold it down, drag it, let go, and it will then copy like it did before, like any machine. So now copy that to that flash drive. And the same thing, I'm going to copy this to the oops, won't do it because you do it to the same one. Same thing on the storage, I'm going to put something else. So just 2 hours a bit old. Got the same drive on here, for instance. So both machines have the same file now. See, that's how you can do it. So once you've done that, and once you've got what you want internet access, and copy it over to either a flash drive or to a hard drive, and that's it. So then you can do so that's all that done. And you can and if you right click is a remove eject, which means you can you can eject it, but what I can do here, once you're finished with it, you can simply just shut the system down, since once you're done with the gymnastics here, what you don't need, you can then shut it down. So I could do a reboot or shutdown, so I just shut down, and that'll shut the, do you want to shut down? Yep. So shut the system down. Stop JB is running for session. Yeah, it's going to take 1 minute 30. It must be saying it was working in the background before. It will shut itself down. So that's how you can access that machine by using this software too. You can do it with any machine, as long as the drive's working, it'll do it. Or failing drives may access longer, but that's the general gist of how you can transfer data from one drive to the other without, well, dead operating system not working. You can still do this. Boot from a flash drive, boot to this thing, access that. Most of the time you don't need to do. I'll show you the partition. So yeah, if someone wants to know how to do partitioning on there, you can do that. But normally you can just plug a drive in and go. Plug a flash drive in. It will be formatted. You can drag and drop, or if you had a spare drive, you can do the same thing. So yeah, so it's a good way to dump data off. I'm just going to turn off here because I don't know about it. Normally you wouldn't do that, but it doesn't take that long, but I'll play around a bit. But yeah, so if I took the flash drive now, put it into my main system, and then go here, which is no. So there's drive A there, and there's the file I just copied here. So that's from that drive straight to here. So there's the data here. I already copied that drive earlier on in the week into the business machine to sort out anyway, so that's that. That's how you can do what you want with it, move it, transfer anything else, but I'm going to format this back to its original. I could do this for a reason, because I need to set this up for another time for sake. And I've already copied this drive onto this machine anyway, so I'm not bothered about it. So that's that. Still running. So that's that one. So that's what you can do with that software. You can do general stuff with that one. But now I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the other piece of software you can use, which we use for if you had any issue with the hard drive. So I'm going to take that one out for now. Don't need that. I'm going to take the other flash drive and change its program. So I'm going to go back into here. Back to the download. Okay, back to the download folder. Go to download again. Go to back to Rufus. And then I'm going to slip the drive here before. I'm going to change the image here to the UBCD Ultimate Boot CD. Add fix, got to do that, and then click OK. It's going to warn you, and it's going to do it again. It's going to create the ISO for that. That's the reason for this. So what I'm going to show you now is how to diagnose a hard drive if it's gone faulty. So just trying to figure out which one's the best one to run. So I'm going to take out the SSD because we don't need that at the moment. I'm going to do something with this later on, with another task with one of these drives later on, but for now I don't need it. I think at this time I'm going to put the two drives in here, which I know are dead. So I'm going to disconnect the internal SD drive. Put the two dead ones straight in here, so that two laptops are in here. So that's not one. this is one way it's handy for you to have a spare machine, because you can work on it without having to keep changing your main system over all the time. Let's put those hard drives in. So I know that will go in there. Right. Do that later on. So use those, put those to one side. So I've got 3 bad drives left. I'll show you those in a minute, but let's disconnect this. So let's disconnect this 80 gig for now. So I'll do that later on, because that's going to be another task as well. Okay, so I've got 2 drives only in here. Right, this is finished. So click on close. Eject. And it's going to reject that. So drive's ready. Plug this into the machine. Turn it on again. Keep pressing the F11 key because I need to boot it up. Okay, so it's detected the 2 drives, yep. I'm going to hit the reset again because I don't need to do any booting. Okay, press the F11 key. Okay, so we need to go to hard disk. Okay, so that's the CK Fujitsu in the flash drive. This is the main boot system for Ultraboot. So you've got BAS, which does BASing, CPU, HD. They went in the actual categories. So I want to select HD drive. Let's bring it all. The little dash will tell you the previous one, but these are all the things. You've got boot management, data recovery, diagnostics, cloning, editing, wiping, installation, partition management, all this sort. So I'm going to go down to the diagnostic. These are all free tools you can get from the manufacturers of the drives, but this makes it easier because it's like parts it into one. And I've done it again, which I'm at the wrong screen. I might as well just restart it and do that again. I think that thing's not going to work anymore. I didn't realise the wrong screen, so let's just do it again like I turned it on. Easier if you see, so I'll do that again. Just keeps the camera connected. So go to hard disk drive. Use your flash drive. Go to hard disk drive. Then go to diagnostics. It brings up all the diagnostics. So these are all things you could buy free, and they've got brackets of which one. So you got one for Fujitsu, Western Digital, Hitachi's, and different versions because like some things may not work with old drives and some won't work with new. So what we've got in here is a Fujitsu and a Seagate drive in here. And there's some other programs you don't know what the commands, even unsure. So Seagate, Maxter drives, Samsung, Gateways, Excelsior, IBM, Hitachi's, Western Digital. So I've got Fujitsu drive in there, so I'll do that one first. It's going to also the green text here when you select each one, it gives you information on it. So you wonder what that program does. So that's what that's for. What it's doing now is just loading the program. Now, I have to be careful with some of these software. For instance, the Hitachi one. This doesn't have an this is all set for ID, so you're fine. But issue with some Hitachi drives. Remember, no, not usually more than that Western Digital, but when at the time you try to put it into the driver has HSPC, enabled, it won't pick the drive up because the DOS program doesn't understand it. So you would have to go into BIOS and switch over to ID temporary to boot it up to let it do the diagnostic. But you must remember to switch it back before you boot back to Windows, otherwise Windows will give you the error of wrong format. Okay, so it's so what's done there is this is just having trouble reading the partition table on that one, so I think it's reading both drives. Okay, so there's no booting up here, so you can only either default or change whatever format you are, but it's just loading up the program. It's Fujitsu as well. Let's just say disclaimers about it, because like I say, these are powerful tools. You can actually accidentally wipe drive or do something worse. So it says thanks for the disclaimer. Fujitsu drive diagnostic tool only agreed to do the same. Fujitsu drive tool electricity performs a non-destructive dyno test. It does a non-destructive, but it detects errors and no defects. Basically, spacebar to continue. Basically, it won't give you any damage because it's your own fault for doing it. What it's doing now is identifying all the drives that are fixed to the machine. Toshiba was the worst. I don't have a diagnostic tool, so you have to try and find one. So what it's done is it's found. So it says there's one Fujitsu hard drive and one HD other supplier are connected to your system. To start the quick test, select a Fujitsu hard drive and press the enter key. The test will be saved automatically. So these can pick up other hard drives from other manufacturers. You could run it with other manufacturers. It's not recommended because the tools are designed for each one. So that's the other supplier. Don't want that one because that's the other one. So here it is. This is the Fujitsu. See, it's got the model number, the serial number, status and code. So we need to press the enter key. So you can see it's doing a smart text buffer, media scan. Normally you do the quick test first to make it sure. Normally this is like checks over first. If this says OK, then drives no problem. But if this picks up a warning straight away, and it recommends doing a thorough test, it would do it. And the thorough test goes sector by sector by sector by sector. If it phones up straight away an error code that says it's failed, it's useless. Drive past the quick test. It's recommended that the comprehensive test be performed next. To perform a SQL read scan of the entire HDMI will take around 90 minutes. So it recommends doing it, so say yes and do it. So what it's doing now is it's actually doing an entire sector drive of the machine. That means sector by sector by sector of the drive. Try checking each drive. Now this test will vary in speed depending on how much data is on board. Because if it finds something, it has to mark it, move it, and so on. Depends how badly damaged the drive is. I can't remember how long this one took last time because I tried it before, but I can remember. And basically, it gives you drive sticks for whatever port it's set to, firmware, the serial number, and anything else, but the progress bar. Like I said before, this drive is sort of working, but Crystal Disney says it's got a warning, it's a warning, and I think this came over a warning before, I can't remember, but it was slow. the laptop came was fast enough. I swapped it with another ID drive and it worked fine, but this one just wouldn't do it. I think I ran this on it and it gave me an error. But these do take some time to do because you've got to do a thorough check for the drives. The larger the drive, the longer it takes. These tests are not performed on solid states because it's a brand new chip, and if that goes, that's it. It's mainly for mechanical drives. See the progress bar is going up now, so it's a vary. And this is 160 gigs, I think it is. Like I said, there's not for general ones for each one, because I got one for Samsung, I got a Maxter, and a Quantum, Western Digital. The ones on this side are way done, but I know these ones don't work. I know the Samsung doesn't work because it won't post. The Maxter will post, but it doesn't want to read it. And the Quantum, same thing, it's accessible, but it's runs and it locks the system up. So these three drives are pretty had it. They're pretty worn out. So this will take some time to do. It's at 0% and it's going to take up to 100. And like I say, when you're running these long tests, I advise you to do it. This is why I advise you to do a system like this, because you can set it and do something else. Why wait for this? Because tests will vary depending on speed and how quick it is. This is why I do have a spare system. So yeah, that's the general gist there. Like I say now, what I'm going to be doing with this desktop here is that I've got a few other things coming up that I want to do. For instance, I want to show how to do a cloning of the system, in both using a free version and a paid version to tell the difference, because some limitations one or the other, and I'll be going both drive up and down. So that means I've been going from small to high, and also from high to small. So you can actually go on a smaller drive if you want to do that, to explain that. Like for instance, go from mechanical to solid state and vice versa. I also got another one which will there's another one I have to do as well, but I'll probably do that. That'll be done later on when I'm doing other testing, which is how to blank a drive. But I'll do that when I've done some other tests of the system, because they take a while to do, and I can do other things as well. So that's that one there. Also showing how to install the OS with a dual boot. So one of them's got to be done with an XP and a Linux one. A varying way, so I'm showing various ways how to dual boot a system depending on your process, like one drive, two drives, two drive method 2. It's just general things I want to show. But yeah, I want to do that with that as well, with these ones here, so I can show all of that as well. There'll be separate videos as well, because I want to put it in one. So you can see it's still doing it. See, it's going to take a very long time. Like I said before, this thing can scan the other drive if you want to, but it's not recommended. So yeah, so that's a general thing. I have a few other things as well. For instance, I have to also reinstall my 98 system. Like I say, that's how I came out of it. So that'd be another one. I'll show you how to install 98 on a new system. Well, what I use. Also, like I say, I'll be installing XP on the Dell. The Dell is, you can't do much of it. It's a 32-bit, but I need a XP for things if need to, and also I need to use Linux because it's being configured for a. It's not a streaming service; it's just being used as an audio system, basically. Well, what I mean about this is just what you can do is, since it's 32-bit, you can't do other things anymore because most stuff now don't use this 32-bit anymore. So it's going to do a general browser and just be used as a a radio streamer, so it's going to hit hide behind the TV when they're not doing anything, and just using the music channel and just play back, and that's it. It's not going to do anything else. It can't run HD because of the graphics on it. It won't fit another graphics card in. So that's what that's for. So I'm going to set that one up for that my type of mode. This one, that second drive inside, is going to be used as a. It's been configured already because there's 2 new updates coming next month. I'm not sure how to do that with that, but also this thing is being configured for Steam feedback. This means this is normally used for when it's not being tested, when I'm gaming or doing other streams. It's there just to feedback to see if it's working correctly, because I can't always use the main monitor if I'm doing other stuff. So that's what that system's for as well. So I've got a few things coming up. Also, I've got a few things on the main system of doing virtual machines. So I'm going to show you how to do virtual machines, installing OSs, and how to use the virtual machines. I think most people know, but it's just something I'm playing around with. Just general stuff, and like I say, also occasionally if I get any type of software or anything else, I'll show that as well, since you might also see how. I'll say. I do this all live, it's all live, I don't edit this or cut it out, anything else. I want to show you exactly how to do this format from each one. Also, I will be doing videos on these. I'm actually going to do videos on this as well, so there'll be separate videos for each of the manufacturer hard drives that are working, so that way you can see how to do them each one. So I've got a Western Digital, I've got a Maxter drive. Yeah, what's the Digital? Yeah, so I've got a Hitachi, a Western Digital drive, a Maxter drive, and a Maxter drive. So yeah, I'll do those offline, and just I know I'm about to put the camera close up to see the screen and do each one, so you can see what each one does. So that way, you can, if you want to know how to work each one, you know how to do it. So I could do it for each one. So I got a Western Digital. Seagate drive, yeah, I've got one of those as well. Seagate, I've got a. Yes, I've got a few drives I run on it. Main basic ones people are seeing how to do it. Because I've had it before where even when you buy a brand new drive, you can still get the old one where it doesn't work. I had it before. When I was doing these Samsung drives, I had another one before put in. Didn't do anything. Wouldn't install nothing. It was a dead on arrival, so it worked, but it just wouldn't do anything with formatting. So it went back and got a replacement. And I had help out someone a few weeks ago because they were having issues with the drive. It kept saying idle error. And they just brought the drive. It was a Seagate. So I said to them, run the crystal disk, and I said error. I said, okay then, download the tool for the Seagate drive, put on a flash drive. They did that, and first to put the first test, it came with a big error saying drive doesn't work. So it failed straight away. Lucky went and got a new drive, returned it, and got a brand new drive, and it works. This one works. So yeah, so it can happen. Brand new drive, it could not work straight away. And the downside tool said yeah straight away. So you get the odd one. I only run these tools if the drives really they're not working very well, and I just want to verify. I think I always had a drive one time where it was in a machine. So I wanted to check, and it was in a. I just said I spent a lot on this machine, but the grade of the material wasn't good. The case was bad. And what's happened is when they put the drive in, we can always slot drives in. It wasn't sitting right. It wasn't clipped in correctly, and the metal was flimsy. You could actually bend it, and I think what something happened is when the machine was busy working, someone bumped it, and the drive went horizontal to vertical like that, running. And what happened there is heads are set into a certain line that just whacked the drive straight down because it wouldn't no longer boot. So and had data on everything else. I've put the drive in there, tested the drive, and every time I put this, it was a Seagate, and every time I ran it, it said error code, error code, error code, error code in a pattern. And I think that you get after certain error codes coming up, it will completely stop the whole of the program and do the general thing. Like it's done here. This is standing there. See, it says here the drive did not pass the compression test. An error was detected on the hard drive. Error code B101V6. Please contact Fujitsu customer service for repair. So the repair software will do this if it sees something severe and anything else, it will just halt the system completely. And this is what tells you it is bad. It is a bad drive. B101V6. So let me just have a look at that. So let me just type that in. B101V6. I don't say much better on here because it's just and the help doesn't open there. So B101V6. Okay, so press OK. And if I go down here, it should give an error code now. Yeah, it says here fail code B101V6. Yeah, that's it basically. You can probably look at go to the Fujitsu site and bring down the manual which says exactly what this code means, or you ring up and give the code and it's tell you what it is. But let's see. Could be. Yep, so that's basically failing hard drive, so that's the failing hard drive, so yep, so that's what that is. First we get to quit, gonna quit. Okay, this is just the general launcher for videos, so I'm going to go back into the launcher. I want to go back into HD Diagnostics. I'm going to do the where is it? Okay, I'm just going to just reboot it. Go back to the main menu. That's limited stuff. Let's see if I have a key again. I'm going to run the Seagate one now. I think that's going to fail straight away. So the Fujitsu is dead as a duck. Well, it's dying, so I won't rely on that. Go back to there, go back to the first drive. This is the thing also, so you can use this to do multiple tests if you can fit the multiple hard drives. So you do that, go back into the Diagnostics. I need to find the Seagate. Samsung, Excelsior. Yeah, so version 1.12.2.3 it says down here what the information is. So I want to do the latest one, which is this one, Seagate tools. Seagate tools of DOS, and it's going to do the same thing before. But yeah, so that one's dying, so that was failing. No, Rising won't. It's trust Rising, but I'm going to do something with that later on. Like I say, now all these bad drives are going to actually trash them, but I'm going to open each one to show you the difference on each drive because they're all different platters on the sizes, and if I do that, it won't. I know which ones are damaged. Okay, this is the CS1, and this one's more modern. This has got mouse control, so I agree. And it's going to run a. Let's see what it's doing. It's checking all controllers and all devices. So you've got modern ones here, you have a mouse, so you can do it with the mouse control rather than keyboard. Take it to do the keyboard, but this makes it easier. Okay, so it's two drives. It's got the Fujitsu, but and it's got ticks. So it's always advised to do this is the Seagate. So you always do the one that is. You don't do the other one. Like I said before, it's not ideal. You go up to here, so you got exit. Oh, contents and that. Advanced features, so you can limit the capacity to 32 gigs for old. Some systems don't like it. Erase track 0. What this does is erase it. You can do a full. You can check the user's program to erase the drive, make it raw. So we're going to do that. So go to basic tests. These acoustic tests will turn the drive on off so you can hear what it sounds like. And sometimes I can tell you there's a problem. So I'm going to do a short test first. Okay, it says here a short trip was detected. Okay, it says here a smart trip was detected prior to the test starting. Do you want to continue to the test? Okay, so I'm going to continue for a moment. I'm going to do. Let's see now. Smart has been tripped. Validation code here. It says validation code here, so you want to define what it is. It will tell you what it is. Basically, the smart's tripped itself. This is unfortunately do anything about here, but there's always tool is basically. Error codes. So maybe let's give you all the error codes. Not going to do this, but I'll give you error codes what the problem is. So someone do this. So basically this thing tells you everything about what's the code here and what you want to know. If you find a code at the end of it, you can go into this and find it and it tells you exactly what it is. A lot of tools do that, so it's good. So it's this trip enable, so basically saying the trip's done. Okay, it says here your serial test code here. Please say this code. You want to play no warranty. Seagate product. Unfortunately, your Seagate driver has failed a important diagnostic test, probably caused by a problem sector, which are difficult to read. Now it's a good time to make sure you back up here. Seagate recommends that you run the long test, which has the ability to repair most problem sectors. C tool for DOS and so basically saying that the short test has failed. I recommend to do a long test to try and recover if it needs to be, or it will fail with something else. So basically saying it's failed the test because it's picked up the trip code, which is it's in hex. See, 6DE 6DE ACA basically just random code through that. So yeah, so it's advising to do a long test. Okay, so it says here, this gives it status, so it says test code is failed at this time index. I don't know why it does that for it. So it could do long test. It says here, a smart chip was detected prior to testing. The reason that comes up, there you go, so you can see now it's now starting to pick up errors. Let's try LBA35, it's probably at the beginning of the dry sea. I think the Seagate does the same thing. Once it picks up too many errors, it will actually abort. It's saying, And this is a 500 gig hard drive, so it would take some time to scan it if you had errors. So this definitely tells you there, so the drive's failed because it's picking up 32 errors and then onwards. So it's definitely a failed drive. Not even a failed drive like this. You can, if you had really important data, you could send it off to someone who will try and diagnose the drive, and it may be able to recover it. But if not, that's it. But this is the risk of actually having hardware that's damaged. I say laptops are more common to this because the size of the drive is very delicate, and any knocks to the drive can cause this. Even desktops, like I said before, can do it. If you didn't see it right, you whack the case when it's running and do that. Normally if you're smart drips, it means it's failed. I think I had it on my first gigabyte drive. It was Western Digital 10. Turned the machine and it said smart warning. It said backup, which it tells you it's failing. There you go. So you know it's done it so many times now. It's come up with this warning saying. Please say the code if you are planning a warranty. Same code before. Unfortunately, Seagate drive has failed an important diagnostic test, project caused by a problem sector which is difficult to read. Basically, it's saying the wrong thing again. You can't do it. So this is 100% failed drive. It's failed once, failed twice. Never drive had before the same issue as this, but the drive was still readable, meaning the data was still on it. So you can still put it off. It wasn't. But mostly this has got bad sectors on, probably on the beginning of sector 0 or 1, which is where everything sits, and it's gone bye-bye. There's another tool called HDAT2, which is a long thorough drive. It can look at each sector and try to repair it. So I managed to do that with a drive before, because you could scan the driver recovery, it's there, but it wouldn't do anything. But I managed to do it with a powerful tool to recreate the drive, and laptop still works, but you can do that if you want to do it at risk, but it's a bit I won't do that now, it's a bit complicated. I won't bother with this drive because it's I don't have the laptop and it's what's changed, so yeah, so this is a bad drive. So you just click on exit and then it will come back to the DOS prompt here. So yeah, that's 2 drives so far. So you see, so the tools are pretty handy for that. Even if you don't know what it's doing, you can scan the drive and it tells you straight away. So if, for instance, this video is working still, you can read the drive like any machine and access it, so it's failing, but you can still get your stuff off it. This one, no machine is recognising it. This one, do not want to talk to this at all because it is completely inoperative, meaning the main sector has been damaged on it, so it will not read at all, and Thanos has the same fault with that. So those two are completely dead. They will not work. The other one's failing, so you can do so you simply just transfer data off it and that's it, but this one is completely no. So those are 2 damaged drives there, and I'll show you some other faults you can hold it up against. So other similarities would be this Samsung drive, for instance. I'm going to hook this up. I'll show you other warning faults as well. If I back to take it and put it up, it will just come with a blank dash and that's it. The other one will boot its operating system, but it's slower than anything. So this one's the Samsung IDE one. Now this one said the machine can boot to both types, so it should do that. So that's the Samsung hooked up to it. Anyway, you can see now it's actually halting the system. Also, you can hear a light. If I can get close to it, sorry, I'm around the back of it. I have to put it in my headset for a moment. You can hear that, but that's clicking. And that's what we call the clicker death, because this is basically it's the if you hear that from any hard drive and coming from your laptop tower and hear that dick, that's called a clicker death. Most people won't even know about this. It's basically the actual heads smashing it on like that. That's a dead drive, 100% dead. If you have something like that, you hear that straight away. You normally turn it off, and you may have like I say, send it off, and they may have to transplant it another drive about to read it. But it's actually a dead drive as well, and it's hanging the system. So that noise we hear, that is the bad. Same thing if you hear. I don't have any noises coming off these drives. If you hear other clicking noises coming off it, which normally it's quite all of a sudden it's doing it, then it's another fail sign. So that's another way of getting rid of stuff. I think it's on these other drives as well, so let me just do that. So I'm going to change out the drive. So the Samsung one's dead. I've had it for a long time anyway, so it came out of, oh boy. I've had this, it's a Samsung Spin Point, manufactured in 2004. Look how old it is. And it's brand new when I bought it, 80 gigs. Been in loads of not yet machines. It was my XP machine until I switched to SATA, and it was sitting in this drive for a long time. So it's been pretty around the block. But when I moved here, I powered this to see it worked, and it didn't want to work. But it hanged, and that's it. So it's completely dead. So this one is the Quantum drive. There's no OS. This was used as a storage drive as well. Out of ages. This is an old hard drive because if it's down, there's a little green LED on the back of this, which is the hard drive activity light on this drive, which is down here. So some drives had that at the time. and it's very noisy because I can see it moving around on the desk. So you see the system's gone into, well, it's booted up onto that, so I'll show you what it does anyways. We'll go into the HDD drive, diagnostics, and if I go down to, just for this one, right, so quantum, this is the quantum drive that it is. So I'll run the latest one for it. It's basically quantum was for near warranty and net plus like 8. Of warning about never drop the jar, bump the drive, and all this lot, and all that, what you should do with a drive. And it's just going to scan the drives. There's no activity from the drive at all. Well, this one, it will. The machine was hit for a while, but as soon as you try to do anything with it, it will just block the system. It's got failing heads. So nothing on it anyway, so it's fine. I'm just stepping over a tower between my legs. So let's see now. So you normally wouldn't take this long to scan the drive, but it's trying to. Okay. Scans here, it says no device, no device, so it's basically saying no device or anything, you see. So no device found, so see, this is the see, it's found nothing on the drive, so basically it cannot find the drive because it's failing. Come on, there's somewhere for that. I'll have to just reboot it again. And I've done this before. I tried all the max drives, and it doesn't want to talk to you. That's the HDD drive, and I'll show you why. Go to diagnostics. This tool I use is called HD-DAT2, which is basically a more advanced tool. Like I said before, I had recovered drives before with this, but it's risky. That's years ago since I used it, but yeah, but this drive, this will pick it up. This is more of a utility, more powerful utility. These are just different options you could do if you need to have any digital drive settings and that. Okay, so you see it's pick the quantum, but there's an exclamation point, and that means error disabled on the smart, so you can't see it. And this is pattern, and you see that you all can read the USB drive. So there's the capacity, days, that's that. And what you can do with this, you can do read the file system, device information, smart menu. Quantum for the specific quantum, we won't do that, I've tried it. Detect tests, so we go to this, you can do detect bad sectors, detect bad sectors, wipe device menu, so you can wipe it, powerful test. Right, did position, take that. So read, write, read, compare, so this is like a powerful test that take a long time, but it mostly can recover most of it. So the bad there, so you can do verify and read. But for press S to set up, it tells you if you can change the way this test menu up. So, so you can detect the read, you can tell it what mode to set it to. So detect the mode, forward, which way around. You can do it backwards, forward, up. So you can actually test logs. I normally disable the beep because every time there's an error it beeps the mic on this. I don't want to do that. Test logs, you can do number of passes, you can change the way, so for instance you can do change the last bad sector, you can also change the which way, so you can do forward testing, which is forward to last, you can do reverse. So enter, so each test you basically select this on there, so let's read and now I can hear the drive crashing now. See that it's halted, see, it blocks. Block is one block and they can have certain sectors in a block, so it says 256 a block. It basically, that's how it works. You see one sector, I can't recall what it is, but yeah, but I just had to go, the drive just crashed, and now it's done this. That's what it's doing, it's trying to copy one time, it'll do that and just crash, and that's it. So yeah, so the drive is pretty dead. But nothing on there important I need anyway, so I'm just going to read, only just read, so it won't write or change as I did for where it is. You can use another function which is read write, which moves it. Or we can do powerful, which is rate in depth. Leave a machine over a long period. I think the other time was 160 gig hard drive with Vista on it, and that took a day. It's so badly damaged it was trying to reconstruct the table. And then I was managed to use a clone software to clone the drive from one to the other, and it still runs. So that's why it's important to have a spare system. Just have to read it. So it's trying to, okay, these do a test, do it, yeah. See, if you had the beep running a beep, beep, beep at the end, it does make a big beep. So that's the max drive, is it? That's another failure drive. So this software is ideal to check other drives which don't have a manufacturer. Last time I did it was used the Toshiba one just to verify it. Okay, so that's back to the menu there, so press the escape, escape, escape. Escape. Just brings back the ultimate boot, so we just do that. So that's that is more powerful general. So that's what that little tool does. Now then the final tool I'm going to do for now is the other drive. I'll show you the other one as well. Damaged. This is that master drive, the same thing. So we'll go back to hard drive, the diagnostics. This is a Maxter. So I want to use the D tool, which is, well, Paramax I will use that because that's Maxter's own one, so let's see. Version 123. No, this one works because there's another max drive I have and it does do the diagnostic test. Gives it the warning, Let's try and read the drive again and can it kick in? I didn't blow the mic. So the voice is here. Up to a minute. Okay, so you see, no device found because it cannot find the I found the drive because it seems to be damaged. So before I'm going to okay, that's the parameters. I don't want to do that. So when I boot it, it tries to access the drive again. It clicking off the way it gives up and just parks itself for now. Okay, see if we can do that with tool. Show you why. Diagnostic. Go to the manage that 2. I'll get out of the drive here. Yeah, so there's got 5 drives in total. You've got one that's dead, won't read at all. Got another one that's clashes every time you do access. You've got another one that's running out. The other one won't do anything, same thing. Up the Maxter. And you can see, it doesn't even see it. Even the software can't pick up, so that means it definitely is a dead drive. A controller or something else has gone on it. So that's the gesture, but like I say, you can't see that. And it's set on. It's set on stage, so maybe if it master save it should pick up, but no, yeah, it's just picking anything up now. So that one's died as well. Yeah, so there you go, so that's those hard drives done in. So that's how you. So what we've done here today is done general check on Russia. How to do this test, but like I say, I'm going to run the other ones like I've got another Maxter, I've got a Western Digital Maxter, another Seagate. Yeah, but like I say, later I will do those again. But like I say, yeah, sort of general thing. So that's that. So I have to show you how to do this in the date. Also, I had access the hard drives if you don't access them to copy files over. If you show you how to do that. So the next thing I'll be doing is I'll show you how to do a hard drive wipe because I need to clean the drive off again. Which one do I need to clean off? I need to clean the hard drive off next to show how to clean the drive off. That's the next thing I need to do with one of these drives. Actually, one of the other drives to do it with the smaller one I've got. So I just need to do that. And yeah, so I'll be doing that next time. So, yeah. So I hope this helps out at all. I know it's a bit long video now, I was doing all that, but it's a chat, and like I said, I will be adding the additional stuff later date, just to show how to do other diagnostics. I'll do those on a video close up for each one, because that way you can figure out. And normally, it should help out if you have these drives. And every time I get a drive in that's new, I'll do the same thing. There'll be separate videos because they take a long time. Recording it all and speeding up the sign up process when it's doing the full scan might be there forever. Okay, so I hope this helps a lot. I know it's a bit fiddly, but like I say, next one I'll be doing is either cloning the drives or, well, it's pretty wiping the next time I need to do that because I need to wipe the drives set up and just doing general stuff with them. Okay, so thanks for watching and just hope this does well.